Ambassador Chen Wei walked through the gleaming corridors of Covenant Station with her head held high. She had made this journey 47 times in her career, each time representing humanity at the Galactic Council. Today felt different. The emergency summons had come without explanation, marked with the highest priority codes. Her security detail flanked her, their dress uniforms crisp and professional. They had no idea what awaited them. The council chamber was a massive sphere that floated in the center of the station. Gravity shifted as they entered, allowing delegates from hundreds of worlds to orient themselves comfortably. Chen took her place at the human podium, a small platform that hung suspended among the others. Around her, the representatives of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations waited in silence. Primarch Vector materialized at the center of the chamber. The Valorian leader was ancient beyond human comprehension, his form shifting between states of matter in ways that hurt to observe directly. When he spoke, his words bypassed ears entirely and formed directly in the minds of all present. "The emergency session is now convened," Vector announced. "We address the human question." Chen felt ice form in her stomach. The human question, not the void incursion, not the trade disputes, not any of the dozen crises currently facing the galaxy. Them. "For 3 centuries we have welcomed humanity into our community," Vector continued. "We have shared technology, opened trade routes, and offered friendship. We believed humans could be civilized, could be guided away from their violent nature." Around the chamber, other delegates began to speak. The insectoid Kresh commander clicked his mandibles in agreement. The Lumini representative pulsed with colors that translated to support. The aquatic Thalassian ambassador sent ripples of approval through her containment sphere. "We were wrong," Vector said simply. "Intelligence gathered over the past decade reveals a disturbing pattern. Humanity has been building weapons in secret, military vessels disguised as civilian craft, research into prohibited technologies. You have violated 17 treaties and hidden it behind your diplomatic smiles." Chen's mind raced. This was insane. Yes, humanity maintained defensive fleets, but nothing beyond what the treaties allowed. Every inspection had been passed. Every audit had been clean. "That is absolutely false," Chen said, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her chest. "We have complied with every—" "Silence," Vector commanded, and Chen found her voice cut off by some technology she didn't understand. "The evidence is conclusive. Humanity represents a clear and present danger to galactic peace. Therefore, the Council has voted. The decision is final." The words that followed would haunt human memory for generations. All human military assets will be surrendered immediately. All human colonies will accept Council governance. Humanity will be placed under protective custody for the safety of all species, including your own. Failure to comply will result in the complete occupation of Sol System and the dismantling of human civilization. The chamber erupted. Chen fought against the force holding her silent, but it was useless. Around her, she could see the faces of the other human delegates, pale with shock and rage. In the galleries above, representatives from minor species looked away, unable to meet human eyes. This was planned. The realization hit Chen like a physical blow. Every species in the Council had known. They had voted before this meeting even began. This wasn't a trial. It was an announcement. Vector continued speaking, laying out the terms of humanity's surrender. Council fleets were already moving toward human space. Blockades were being established. Communication networks would be severed. Everything would happen quickly, efficiently, before humanity could mount any organized response. "You may wonder why," Vector said, and for the first time, something like emotion entered his mental voice. "You humans are different. You evolved on a death world, fighting every moment for survival. You carry that violence in your genes. We have studied your history, your wars, your capacity for cruelty. We cannot allow a species like yours to grow strong enough to threaten us." Chen felt her blood turn to fire. They were afraid. That was what this was really about. Not evidence of treaty violations. Not concern for galactic peace. Fear. The Council had decided that humanity might one day challenge their power, so they were moving first. The Primarch made a gesture, and the human delegation found themselves surrounded by security forces. Energy barriers sprang up, trapping them in place. Chen's security detail reached for weapons that had been disabled the moment they entered the chamber. "You will be held here until your government surrenders," Vector said. "Your ship has been disabled." Your communications are blocked. It is over, Ambassador Chen. Accept this with dignity. But Vector had made one mistake. He had waited too long to cut the communications. Chen's neural implant, a simple device that most diplomats carried, was still active. It had been recording everything, transmitting on a narrow band frequency that the Council's blockers had missed. With a thought, Chen activated the emergency protocol. She had seconds before they detected it. The implant would burn out after one transmission, but one was all she needed. Earth's Defense Command would receive a data package. Everything that had happened in this chamber. Every word, every betrayal, and one word more, a code that had been established decades ago by paranoid military planners who had insisted on preparing for the impossible. The code word that meant total betrayal. The code word that meant the galaxy had turned against them. The code word that would activate protocols so severe that Chen had prayed she would never need to use it. Her implant heated against her skull as it pushed its transmission power to maximum. The pain was intense but brief. Then it was done, the message had gone out. One word transmitted to Earth and every human colony simultaneously. Carthage. Across the galaxy, humanity would understand. They had been betrayed. They had been condemned. And they would respond in the only way that made sense when faced with extinction. They would fight. Vector's eyes widened as his sensors detected the transmission. He turned to Chen with something that might have been respect or might have been the first whisper of fear. "What have you done?" he asked. Chen smiled cold and hard. "I gave the command." Admiral Marcus Zhang was reviewing supply reports when the alert screamed through Seoul Defense Command. Every screen in the operations center turned red. Every officer stopped what they were doing. The sound that filled the room was one that had never been heard before, one that was supposed to be impossible. The Carthage Protocol. Zhang felt his heart skip. In 40 years of military service, he had participated in hundreds of drills. He had fought pirates and rebels. He had commanded fleets in war games against theoretical enemies. But Carthage was different. Carthage meant that humanity's worst nightmare had come true. Total betrayal. "Get me verification," Zhang ordered, his voice cutting through the chaos. "I want 3 independent confirmations before we—" "Sir, it's confirmed," his intelligence officer interrupted. The transmission came from Ambassador Chen's personal implant. Biometric signature matches. Encryption is valid. "And sir, we're receiving secondary reports from colony worlds. Council fleets are moving into position around every human system." Zhang looked at the tactical display. Red icons were appearing across human space like a disease spreading. Council warships. Hundreds of them. They had been pre-positioned, he realized. This attack had been planned for months, maybe years. "Sound general quarters," Zhang said quietly. "Activate all defense platforms. Recall every ship. And someone get me the president." Within minutes, the president appeared on the main screen. She looked tired, older than her years. "Admiral, tell me this is a drill." "I wish I could, ma'am," Zhang replied. "The Council has betrayed us. They're demanding total surrender. Every colony is being blockaded as we speak." The president closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were hard. "Carthage Protocol is confirmed then." "You have full authorization, Admiral. Do what you were trained to do," Zhang nodded. He had hoped this day would never come. But hope was a luxury they no longer had. The Carthage Protocol had been created by the first generation of human diplomats to join the Galactic Council. Most people thought it was just a name, just a code word. But those who knew history understood the reference. Carthage had been a city on ancient Earth, destroyed so completely by Rome that salt was poured into the earth so nothing would ever grow there again. It was a message about total war, about the price of pushing someone too far. But Carthage was also a promise. Rome had expected Carthage to surrender quietly. They had been wrong. "Execute Protocol Carthage," Zhang ordered. "All phases, simultaneously." Around Sol system, humanity's true defensive capability revealed itself. The Council thought they knew humanity's strength. They had seen the fleet that patrolled human space, the weapons that had been declared in treaty documents, the military bases on Mars and Luna. They had seen only what humanity wanted them to see. Beneath Mars, in facilities carved deep into the planet's crust, massive hangars opened. Ships began to emerge. Vessels that had been built in secret over 3 decades. The Council's inspectors had never found them because they hadn't been looking. They had assumed humanity was too honest, too innocent to hide entire fleets. They had been wrong about that too. Second Fleet is launching, the tactical officer reported. Third Fleet reports ready. Fourth through Eighth Fleets are activating skeleton crews and beginning system checks. Zhang watched the display update. The Council fleet surrounding Earth was massive, but they had positioned themselves for intimidation, not combat. They expected humans to surrender. They expected terror and confusion. Instead, they got silence. Zhang opened a channel to the Council flagship. The alien commander appeared on screen, a Valorian officer whose name Zhang didn't care to learn. "This is Admiral Marcus Zhang of the Terran Defense Force," he said calmly. "You are in violation of human sovereign space. You have 30 minutes to withdraw your forces beyond the heliopause. This is your only warning." The Valorian laughed, the sound translated into something like grinding metal. "Admiral, you are surrounded. Your entire species is surrounded. Surrender now and your people will be treated fairly." Zhang smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "You have 29 minutes, he cut the transmission. "Sir, they're not moving," the tactical officer said. "Good," Zhang replied. "Begin broadcasting on all Council frequencies. Every language, every channel. I want every alien in the galaxy to hear this." The message that went out was simple. Just 2 words in English, then translated into the hundreds of languages spoken across the galaxy. Remember Earth. It meant nothing yet, but it would. Zhang would make sure it would. Across human space, the response to Carthage Protocol was instant. Colony governors activated defense plans that had been rehearsed in secret. Civilian ships began moving toward military depots, preparing to be armed. Space stations oriented their industrial capabilities toward weapon production. But more than that, something shifted in humanity. The Council had made a fundamental miscalculation. They thought humans were like them, that they would calculate odds and surrender when defeat seemed certain. They thought humans were rational creatures who would choose survival over pride. They were wrong. Humans were emotional. Humans held grudges. Humans had evolved on a planet that tried to kill them every single day. And they had not just survived but conquered it. They had fought each other in terrible wars, yes, but they had always fought hardest when someone tried to take their freedom. The Council had just declared war on the one species in the galaxy that would rather die than kneel. On New Britannia colony, Governor Sarah Martinez stood before her people. The Council blockade was visible in the sky, ominous ships hanging like storm clouds. "They think we'll surrender," she told the crowd of 10,000 colonists. "They think we'll be so afraid that we'll give up everything our parents built. Everything we've worked for." She paused, looking at the faces around her. Farmers, engineers, teachers, children, regular. People who had come to the stars looking for a better life. "I say we show them what humans do when someone tries to take what's ours." Martinez continued. "I say we make them regret ever hearing the word Earth. Who's with me?" The roar that answered her could be heard across the colony. Within hours, every able-bodied person was working. Mining equipment was converted into kinetic weapons. Transport ships were rigged with explosives. The hydroponics facility began producing chemical compounds that had nothing to do with agriculture. New Britannia would not surrender. None of the human colonies would. Back on Earth, Admiral Zhang watched his forces move into position. The Council fleet was beginning to realize something was wrong. Their sensors were picking up the new ships, the weapons platforms, the swarms of smaller vessels moving with clear purpose. "Sir, the Council commander is hailing us," the communications officer reported. "He sounds worried." "Ignore him," Zhang said. They had their warning. "Time's up," he looked at the chronometer. 30 minutes had passed. "All ships," Zhang said quietly. "Fire." The Battle of New Britannia lasted 14 hours. When it was over, the Council fleet had learned a terrible lesson about humanity. Commander Sekthar of the Kresh warrior caste had fought in 200 engagements across his long career. He had seen species fight with honor and species fight with cunning. He had never seen anything like the humans. The battle started normally enough. His fleet had surrounded the colony, weapons armed but not fired. The plan was simple: intimidate the colonists until they surrendered. It had worked on 30 other worlds. There was no reason to think humans would be different. Then the first human ship appeared. It was a mining vessel, converted hastily into something barely recognizable. Its hull was covered in weapons that looked like they had been welded on that morning. It came at Sekthar's flagship at full speed, engines screaming. Target that vessel, Sekthar ordered. Disable it, his weapons officer fired. The human ship's shields failed. Its hull breached in 3 places. Atmosphere vented into space. Any reasonable crew would have ejected in escape pods. Instead, the ship accelerated. Commander, they're not stopping, his sensor officer said, voice filled with disbelief. Sekthar watched in horror as the crippled human ship slammed into his flagship's port side. The explosion tore through 2 decks. Alarms screamed. His crew scrambled to contain the damage. They killed themselves, Sekthar whispered. They killed themselves just to damage us. That was when the rest of the human vessels appeared. Dozens of them. Mining ships, cargo haulers, even personal yachts. All armed. All accelerating. They're all doing it, his tactical officer screamed. They're all on suicide runs. The battle became a nightmare. Sekthar's fleet had superior weapons, better shields, more experienced crews. But the humans didn't care. They didn't try to win through tactics or skill. They just kept coming, wave after wave, each ship trying to ram, to explode, to take at least one council vessel with them. Sekthar's fleet lost 16 ships before he gave the order to retreat. He had killed hundreds of human vessels, but the cost was unbearable, and the humans were still coming. As his battered fleet limped away from New Britannia, Sekthar received a transmission. It was from the colony. A simple message in broken Kresh: go home, tell them. Remember Earth. Across human space, the pattern repeated. The Council had expected military engagements. Instead, they got total war. Every human was a soldier. Every ship was a weapon. Every colony was a fortress that had to be paid for in blood. On Primarch Vector's command ship, reports flooded in. None of them were good. The humans are using colony killers at Proxima Station, one officer reported. They've rigged asteroids with engines and are launching them at our fleet positions. We can't avoid them all. New Shanghai has contaminated its water supply rather than let us capture the purification systems, another added. They're drinking recycled waste and laughing at us. Our garrison on Armstrong suffered 90% casualties in 3 days, a third officer said, his voice shaking. The humans are using guerrilla tactics. They hide in the civilian population. We can't tell who is a combatant and who isn't. Everyone fights. Vector felt something he had not experienced in his long existence. Fear. Not of death, but of what he had created. The humans were supposed to be controlled easily once their military was destroyed. Instead, destroying their military had only made them more dangerous. He pulled up footage from captured human networks. What he saw chilled him. Children singing songs about killing council soldiers. Elderly humans building bombs in their homes. Scientists weaponizing their own research. Artists creating propaganda that spread like fire through human space. One image appeared again and again. A simple picture of Earth with 2 words beneath it. Remember Earth. It was becoming a rallying cry. A promise of vengeance. A warning to the galaxy that humanity would never forget this betrayal. How many ships have we lost? Vector asked quietly. 247, his aide replied, with 800 more damaged, severely enough to require months of repair. The humans have lost thousands of vessels, but they don't stop. They don't surrender. Every ship they lose, they replace with 2 more civilian conversions. Vector pulled up casualty reports. The numbers were staggering. For every human killed, the Council was losing 3 soldiers. The economic cost was even worse. Trade had collapsed. Council species were refusing to send their children to fight. Protests were erupting on worlds that had supported the war. Get me a channel to the Thalassan homeworld, Vector ordered. We need to discuss. Sir, the Thalassans are under attack, his communications officer interrupted. Human strike teams have hit 17 infrastructure targets in the last hour. No casualties, but they've crippled the orbital manufacturing centers. Vector felt his form flicker. The humans weren't just defending. They were attacking. Precision strikes against military and industrial targets, carefully avoiding civilian casualties. It was psychological warfare at its finest. The message was clear. We can reach you anywhere. Be grateful we're being merciful. And the Lumini? Vector asked, dreading the answer. They've withdrawn from the Council entirely, his aide said. They issued a statement saying they want no part in what we've done. The Council was fracturing. Species that had been allies for millennia were questioning the war. And the humans kept fighting. In a briefing room on Mars, Admiral Zhang reviewed the latest intelligence with his senior officers. The holographic display showed Council fleet positions across the galaxy. They're pulling back from the outer colonies, Zhang said, consolidating their forces. They're going defensive. We've hurt them, Colonel Lisa Park observed. More than they expected. We've terrified them, Zhang corrected. That's different. They thought we would fight like them. Calculate odds. Retreat when victory was impossible. They didn't understand that we're not fighting to win. We're fighting because we refuse to lose. He highlighted several council worlds on the map. These are their industrial centers. We can't conquer them, but we can make them useless. Ghost operations. No occupation. Just fear. The officers around the table nodded. They understood. Humanity didn't have the numbers to win a conventional war, but they didn't need to. They just needed to make the cost of continuing unbearable. What about Ambassador Chen? Someone asked. Zhang smiled grimly. Last report had her leading an escape from Covenant Station. She's got a ship and about 100 freed prisoners. The Council has put a fleet-wide bounty on her. They're making her a martyr, Park said. They're making all of us martyrs, Zhang replied. And that's exactly what we need. Every human who dies becomes a rallying cry. Every battle we lose makes the next one harder for them. They wanted to make us afraid. Instead, they made us angry. He looked at his officers. The Council thought they knew us. They studied our history and saw our wars, but they missed the most important part. Humans don't just fight wars. We survive them. We adapt, we overcome. They've given us an enemy that unites all of humanity, every nation, every colony, every person. We're not Americans or Chinese or European anymore. We're human, and we're done being afraid. Across the galaxy, in 1,000 languages, the message spread. Remember Earth. In Council space, soldiers began to refuse deployment. Species began to question their leaders. The certainty that had driven the betrayal was crumbling. And in human space, in every colony and station and ship, people looked at the stars and promised themselves that the galaxy would never forget what happened when they pushed humanity too far. The war was far from over, but the tide was turning. The prey had become the predator, and the predator was hungry. 6 months into the war, Primarch Vector stood before what remained of the Galactic Council. The chamber that had once held representatives from 300 species now hosted barely 100. The others had withdrawn, their governments unwilling to continue supporting a war that was bleeding them dry. The situation is untenable, the Thalassian representative said. Her voice translated through the ripples in her containment sphere. My people are starving. Human strike teams have destroyed our food processing facilities. They cause no casualties, kill no one, but they've crippled our ability to feed our population. The same on our worlds, the Kresh commander added, his mandibles clicking in distress. They strike our manufacturing centers, our power plants, always infrastructure, always precisely targeted. They could kill millions, but they don't. Instead, they make us helpless. Vector understood the strategy. The humans were showing restraint while demonstrating their capability. Every attack carried an unspoken message. We could have killed your civilians, but we didn't. Be grateful. Be afraid. We have lost over 800 ships, Vector said. The humans have lost thousands. But they keep fighting. Every world we occupy becomes a nightmare. Our soldiers are deserting. Our people are protesting. The economic damage is catastrophic. Then we surrender, the Thalassian said simply. We end this war. No, Vector replied. If we surrender now, humanity will dominate the galaxy. They will do what we tried to do to them, a new voice interrupted. Everyone turned to see the Lumini representative materialize in the chamber. The energy being had not attended a council session since withdrawing from the war. You have returned, Vector said carefully. I have come to bear witness, the Lumini replied. I have traveled through human space. I have spoken with their leaders. I have seen what we created. What do you mean? Vector asked, though part of him already knew. We feared humanity would become monsters, the Lumini said, so we attacked them. We betrayed them, and in doing so we made our fear come true. The humans did not want to be warriors. We forced them to become what we feared. On the main display, footage began to play. It showed a human colony under siege. Council forces had surrounded it for weeks, cutting off supplies. The colonists should have surrendered days ago. Instead, they had turned their agricultural equipment into weapons. They had rigged their power plant to explode if the Council tried to take it. They had broadcast a simple message to the besieging fleet. Take this world, but it will cost you everything. The council commander had tried. The battle had lasted 2 days. The humans had fought from every building, every tunnel, every shadow. When it was over, the council had captured ruins. The colony was destroyed, but so was the attacking fleet. This is happening everywhere, the Lumini continued. Every human world you take costs you 10 times what it's worth. Every occupation requires a fleet to maintain. You cannot win this war. You can only bleed. Vector wanted to argue, but he couldn't. The math was simple. At this rate, the council would collapse before humanity did. The humans were willing to pay any price. The council was not. There is more, the Lumini said. I bring a message from Ambassador Chen Wei. The image changed. Chen appeared on the screen. She looked tired but unbroken. Behind her stood what looked like a human warship's bridge. Greetings, Primarch Vector, Chen said. I hope you've enjoyed the last 6 months. I hope every casualty report you've read has made you proud. I hope every ship you've lost has been worth it. Her expression hardened. You made us monsters. You looked at humanity and decided we were too dangerous to exist freely. You were right to fear us, but wrong about why. You thought we were dangerous because we were violent. The truth is simpler. We're dangerous because we don't give up. Chen gestured to someone off-screen. The image split, showing scenes from across the galaxy. Human fleets engaged in hit-and-run attacks. Insurgents making council occupations impossible. Civilians building weapons in their homes. You studied our history and thought you understood us, Chen continued. You saw our wars and called us barbaric. But you didn't understand what those wars taught us. We learned how to fight when outnumbered. We learned how to win when victory seemed impossible. We learned that freedom is worth any price. She leaned closer to the camera. You wanted to control us for the safety of the galaxy. Instead, you've united us. Every human, every colony, every ship. We're not divided anymore. We're not competing nations or rival corporations. We're humanity, and we remember what you did to us. The image changed again, showing a massive fleet. Hundreds of ships, all bearing human markings. This is the first strike fleet, Chen said, built from captured council technology and human ingenuity. In 72 hours, it will arrive at the council capital. We're not coming to negotiate. We're coming to deliver a message. Vector felt his form flicker. An attack on the capital was unthinkable. It was the most heavily defended location in council space. You wanted war, Chen said. You got it. Now face the consequences. The transmission ended. The council chamber erupted in panic. Species representatives shouted over each other. Some demanded immediate defense preparations. Others called for surrender. The unity that had enabled the betrayal of humanity had shattered completely. Vector raised his hand for silence. When the chamber finally quieted, he spoke. We have 72 hours to decide our response. I suggest we use them wisely. But even as he said it, Vector knew the war was already over. The question now was only how it would end. On board the human flagship, Admiral Zhang reviewed the final attack plans with his staff. The council capital was indeed heavily defended, but the humans had advantages the council didn't expect. We've got inside intelligence from 3 different species, Colonel Park reported. The Lumine have been feeding us defense protocols. The Thalassans have given us access codes. Even some Valorians are helping us. The council is collapsing from within, Zhang observed. Half of their member species want out of this war. Then why attack the capital? An officer asked. If they're already breaking, why risk it? Zhang smiled grimly. Because we need to make sure they never try this again. We need to prove that humanity can reach anywhere, that no one is safe if they betray us. He looked at the tactical display showing the capital system. We're not going to destroy it. We're going to do something worse. We're going to humiliate them. The plan was audacious. The human fleet would jump into the capital system, demonstrate their ability to strike at the heart of council power, and then withdraw. No bombardment, no occupation, just a message. We could have destroyed you, but we chose not to. They'll know we could have killed billions, Park said. But we didn't. Exactly, Zhang replied. We're going to show them what mercy looks like. And we're going to make sure they understand that mercy is a choice. Next time they threaten us, we might choose differently. In council space, the word spread through official and unofficial channels. The humans were coming. Not to conquer. Not to kill. But to prove a point. Some species prepared to fight. Others prepared to surrender. Most simply waited to see what would happen when the prey they had cornered finally got loose. And in the empty space between stars, The human fleet moved forward. Each ship carried a simple message painted on its hull in every galactic language. Remember Earth. The galaxy would remember, the Council would remember, and humanity would make sure that no one ever forgot the price of betrayal. 72 hours until the final confrontation. 72 hours until the galaxy learned what it meant to wake the sleeping giant. The human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Council capital system, exactly 72 hours after Ambassador Chen's warning. Admiral Zhang stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical display populate with enemy contacts. Enemy fleet count is 412 vessels, the sensor officer reported. All weapons hot. They're not trying to hide anything. Good, Zhang said calmly. Open a channel. All frequencies. I want everyone in this system to hear this. When the channel opened, Zhang spoke clearly. This is Admiral Marcus Zhang of the Terran Defense Force. We are here to deliver a message. You have 1 hour to evacuate all civilian stations and ships. After that, we will demonstrate what humanity is capable of. We will not harm civilians. We will not target population centers. But we will make our point. He paused, letting that sink in. You tried to cage us. You tried to control us. You learned what happens when you corner a predator. Now learn what happens when that predator chooses mercy. The Council Fleet Commander responded immediately. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender now and your species will be granted. Zhang cut the transmission. Tactical, light them up. The human fleet didn't fire weapons. Instead, every ship activated targeting systems simultaneously. Thousands of targeting locks painted every Council vessel, every orbital platform, every defensive installation. The message was clear. We can destroy all of this whenever we want. Sir, they're panicking, the communications officer said. Council fleet is breaking formation. Some ships are withdrawing. Others are trying to advance. Their coordination is falling apart. Zhang watched the chaos unfold. The Council had never faced an enemy that fought like humans. They were used to calculated warfare, to diplomatic solutions, to enemies that would negotiate. They didn't know how to handle an opponent that would fly into their home system just to prove they could. Time, Zhang asked. 47 minutes until civilian evacuation deadline, the tactical officer replied. Zhang nodded. They would wait, not because they had to, but because they chose to. That was important. The galaxy needed to understand that humanity's mercy was a choice, not a weakness. On Covenant Station, now occupied by human forces, Ambassador Chen watched the standoff unfold. The station had been captured 3 weeks ago in a daring raid that had killed nearly a third of the human strike team. But they had succeeded. The symbol of galactic unity was now a symbol of humanity's determination. Beside Chen stood former Primarch Vector. He was a prisoner, but an honored one. Chen had insisted he be treated with dignity. Another message to the galaxy. Humans could show respect even to their enemies. You're going to destroy the capital, Vector said quietly. It wasn't a question. No, Chen replied. We're going to show them we could destroy it. There's a difference. I don't understand your species, Vector admitted. You fight like demons, but you show mercy we would never offer. You could have killed billions by now. But you've targeted only military and industrial sites. Why? Chen turned to look at him. Because we're not monsters. You thought we were. You feared we would become conquerors, tyrants. But we're not fighting for power. We're fighting for respect. For the right to exist without your permission. Respect. Vector repeated the word slowly. That's all you wanted. That's all we ever wanted, Chen confirmed. A place at the table as equals. Not as pets to be managed or children to be controlled. We would have been your allies. Instead, you made us your enemies. On the flagship, the hour expired. Zhang gave the order. All ships fire demonstration pattern. Targets are unmanned defense satellites only. Show them what we can do. The human fleet opened fire. Precision strikes eliminated every automated defense satellite in the capital system. Hundreds of them, gone in seconds. The Council fleet watched in horror as humanity demonstrated surgical accuracy on a massive scale. That was their defensive network, Colonel Park said. The capital is naked now. And we're not going to touch it, Zhang replied. He opened the channel again. Council fleet, you've seen what we can do. Your defenses are gone. Your capital is vulnerable. We could end this war right now with overwhelming force. He let that hang in the air for a moment. But we won't because unlike you, we understand that peace isn't built on fear. It's built on respect. We're withdrawing now. When we're gone, you'll have a choice to make. Continue this war and watch your civilization collapse, or end it and learn to treat us as equals. The human fleet began to turn, preparing to jump back to faster-than-light travel. But before they left, Zhang sent one final message. Remember, Earth, remember what you did to us. Remember that we could have destroyed you but chose not to. And remember that if you ever threaten us again, we might choose differently. The fleet vanished, leaving the Council capital system intact but forever changed. 18 months after the betrayal, the war officially ended. The Council dissolved itself, unable to maintain unity in the face of economic collapse and internal dissent. Dozens of species had withdrawn. Others had overthrown their governments. The galaxy was in chaos. Ambassador Chen stood once again in the chamber on Covenant Station. But this time she wasn't a prisoner. She was here to establish the new order. Representatives from across the galaxy gathered. Some came willingly. Others came because they had no choice. The old power structure was gone. Something new had to take its place. Vector was there too, representing what remained of the Valorian government. He looked diminished, his form flickering weakly. The weight of his failure had broken something fundamental in him. Ambassador Chen, he began, his mental voice barely a whisper. What do humans want from the galaxy now? Tribute? Territory? What is the price of your victory? Chen looked around the chamber. She saw fear in many eyes. They expected humanity to become what the Council had been. Expected revenge, dominance, cruelty. We want what we always wanted, Chen said simply. We want respect. She let the words settle over the chamber. We want a galaxy where no species lives in fear of another, where treaties are honored, where betrayal has consequences, where everyone, from the smallest colony to the largest empire, is treated with dignity. How can we trust humanity? Someone asked. You've proven you're the most dangerous species in the galaxy. We proved we're dangerous when cornered, Chen corrected. There's a difference. Yes, we can be ruthless. Yes, we can be violent. But only when pushed. All we ever wanted was to be left alone to live our lives. She gestured to Vector. The Council tried to control us because they feared what we might become. They created the very monster they were afraid of. Don't make that mistake again. Treat us fairly, and we'll be the best allies you could ask for. Betray us and... She shrugged. You've seen what happens. The representatives murmured among themselves. Finally, a Thalassen spoke. What structure do you propose for this new galactic order? Equal representation, Chen said. Every species gets a voice regardless of size or power. Disputes are settled by arbitration, not force, and humanity will serve as guarantors. Guarantors? Vector asked. Peacekeepers, Chen explained. Our fleets will patrol trade routes. We'll respond to threats against any member species. We'll make sure no one else suffers what we suffered. You want to be the galaxy's police, someone said skeptically. We want to make sure this never happens again, Chen replied. To anyone. The galaxy feared human violence. Fine. We'll use that violence to protect the innocent. We'll be the monsters that keep worse monsters in check. The debate went on for hours. Some species resisted. Others embraced the new order immediately. But gradually consensus formed. The new galactic compact was established with humanity as its primary military force and mediator. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't what anyone had wanted. But it was what they had created together through blood and fire. As the representatives filed out, Vector approached Chen. I must ask, he said. That first day, when you transmitted the code word, Carthage, what did it really mean? I've researched your history. I know Carthage was destroyed, but that's not the whole message, is it? Chen smiled sadly. Carthage was destroyed, yes. But before it fell, it fought Rome to a standstill. It nearly won. Rome never forgot the fear Carthage gave them. That was the message. We might lose, but we'll make you wish you'd never started this. And the other message? Vector asked. The one you broadcasted across the galaxy. Remember Earth, what did that mean? It meant exactly what it said, Chen replied. Remember what you did. Remember that we could have been friends. Remember that you made us your enemies. Remember that we showed you mercy when we could have shown you destruction. Remember all of it. Learn from it." Vector was silent for a long moment. "There's one thing I still don't understand. Throughout this entire war, humans kept saying they would give their command in a single word. But you used many words, many messages." Chen looked at him steadily. "We gave our command to the council the day you betrayed us. Everything that happened after was just the echo of that first word." "What was the word?" Vector asked. "No," Chen said simply. "You ordered us to surrender, to submit, to accept your control. We gave you our answer in a single word. No. Everything else was just explaining what that meant." She turned to leave, then paused. "Actually, there's a second word you should know. The word we gave you after we won. The word that defines the new galaxy we're building." "What word?" Vector asked. Chen looked back at him, her expression soft but unyielding. "Respect. That's all we ever wanted. That's all we're asking for now. Respect us as equals. Respect every species as equals. Build a galaxy on respect instead of fear." She left Vector alone in the chamber. He stood there for a long time thinking about words and their meanings, about how humanity had changed the galaxy with just two simple words. No. Respect. Outside, human patrol ships moved through the system. They would be there for generations, watching, protecting, making sure that no species ever suffered what humanity had endured. The galaxy had learned its lesson. It had pushed humanity and discovered what they were capable of. Now it would learn what humanity could become when treated with dignity. Some species feared the new order. Others embraced it. But everyone remembered Earth. Everyone remembered the price of betrayal. Everyone understood the command humanity had given in a single word. And the galaxy was better for it.